Happy Saturday, everyone. We got a fun little work set coming your way. We're revisiting a workout we did back in May, except we're adding a little piece to it. So we're gonna have some fun with that today, but let's talk about our warm-up first. We got a lot of skill work here. Wide stance, good morning to side lunge, so 3 to 5 total hybrid kind of reps. Back scale raise to high knee, 3 to 5 per side. Goblet squat for 3 at 3, 1, 3, just to stretch you out from yesterday's kind of squatting adventure. Calf raise for 20 seconds and a narrow goblet squat of 3 at a 3, 1, 3. Keeping in mind that narrow goblet squat, you may not get as deep as normal, or you might find with that goblet you can get a little deeper than your normal narrow stance squat. So just listen to your body and see how it feels as you're working through that. It's really going to be a nice opportunity to kind of stretch out the ankles, the knees, and the hips. So take those slow. We got 2 rounds of this piece right here just to really start warming up the body, see how it feels balance-wise, and then we'll move into this next phase, which is going to get more dynamic, where you're going to work on some butt kicks of 20 seconds, single leg RDL jump, 20 seconds aside, jump squat of 20 seconds, and then a pause, push press, I should say, nope, dumbbell pause dip, 3 at 3 seconds, and then a push press of 3 to 5 reps per side, or with 2 dumbbells, depending on how you're doing in the work set today. So we'll have some fun with that, taking that down. Again, we're using that pause dip to work on positioning, heating up the hips and the knees, making sure we're getting that nice stacked hip over under shoulder. So take your time, work those positions, and get yourself ready. The workout is a series of 5-minute work sets. So we are going to go for 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, you will run 600 meters or a 600-meter equivalent. You will then do max rep box jumps. You'll hit those box jumps or that equivalent for the remaining 5 minutes. Then you'll rest 90 seconds. Then you will go back into that same run. So you'll have 5 minutes again. Run 600 meters or that run equivalent. You'll hit that max rep push press. Rest 90 seconds. In 5 minutes again, run 600 meters or that equivalent. Max rep burpees. That's right, the burpee showing up one last time this week. We've got a few different variations with the squat thrust and the burpee. Today, we're gonna go for max reps with whatever time frame you have remaining in that 600 or in that 5-minute time frame. So we have 3 little work sets separated by 90 seconds rest. Some max effort work. If you like, check back to May, see when we did this one last, and kind of compare your pieces if you like, and see what the difference is adding that last piece in. So let's get you guys ready, we'll get you warmed up, and we'll start today's adventure. All right, you guys, let's get those feet under the hips. We'll take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're gonna shrug. We're gonna come back down with the arms. We're gonna reach it over to one side. We'll come back through, and then reach to the other side. Come back up overhead, little shrug. Come back down with the shoulders and forward fold. We're gonna touch those toes. Walking up those shins. We'll come down, framing the foot. We'll step back into our lizard in that nice square hip position. Inside hand's gonna reach up to the sky, and then we're gonna rotate forearm to the floor. We'll come back up, bend the elbow. We're gonna reach straight ahead, pull back, straight ahead, pull back, straight ahead, pull back, reach up, and rotate. Forearm to the floor, come back up, plant that hand, step back into our down dog, reaching those hips, get yourself set and ready, come back into that plank, other foot comes up, nice and square in those hips. We'll take that inside hand up, we'll rotate, forearm to the floor, come back up, bend the elbow, straight ahead, pull back, straight ahead, back, straight ahead, pull back, reach up, and rotate, forearm on the floor, take it back to the sky, plant the hand, step back into our down dog again, reaching those hips, and if you like, you can walk the heels out, or you can come back into the plank. So if you want to spend some time walking those heels, you can, or we'll come back in, tiptoe those feet up, roll yourself up, big stretch overhead, little reach, and bring those arms down. Stretch yourself out, let's get her going. All right, so if you like to do some gentle kind of warm up on your own, maybe you need a little bit more upper body love from earlier in the week, maybe you need to show that lower half a little bit more love, please take that time to do so. We're gonna move into that first phase, which is gonna have some balance and coordination work sets in there. then move into the dynamic stuff. So pause the video, rock that stuff for yourself. If not, come along and join me. All right, we're gonna kickstart off with a little hybrid series of some movements. So we're gonna work on a wide stance. Good morning. So we're getting into that nice straddle stance. So beyond the sumo. But again, we're not going so wide that we can't open up our hips fully. So we have to keep that in mind as we're working through this. The rules of that side, good morning, apply. So again, we're keeping those knees soft and we're drawing the hips back to get that hinge. So I'm gonna get myself set up profile so you guys can see that hinge pattern that we know and love. Nice and tall, if you like to use the hand reference, you can. We're gonna pull the hips back, soft knees, and those big toes are down. And we're gonna stand up nice and tall, opening up those hips. Once we've opened up the hips, we're gonna take our hip to our heel, moving through that side lunge, pushing through that leg, opening up the hip, and then drawing that hip back down to the heel, and then pushing through that leg again. Once we've done both sides, we'll open up the hips fully, move back into that nice good morning, and then complete that rep again. All right, so we're taking our time with this. This is not fast, especially because we're in that wide stance. So really take the time to feel that good hinge, come back up, opening the hips fully into that good squat mechanic in that side lunge, working on taking the hip down to the heel with good tall posture. We're looking for 3 to 5 total reps of that work set. So really kind of separate those pieces out to get the most bang for your buck. Next exercise we're going to work on involves some balance. So we're going to bring our feet under our hips. I'm going to stay facing profile so you guys can see what that's all about. My hands can go wherever they need to be, all right, to keep my upper body open and engaged. My goal, though, is just to keep my chest open and not slouching forward when we do this. So whatever you need to do to keep that nice and solid, please do so. I'm going to shift my weight to one foot, and I'm going to take that leg back so it's engaged and straight. And I'm going to pull back with the hip a bit as I get that hinge. So I'm coming down at the very most parallel at the floor. I'm going to come through, and I'm going to pull that high knee up. If I would like to bring that other hand up for balance, I can, and then come back down, reset, do it again. So from here again, my hips are square, my chest is open, my back leg is engaged. I'm going to reach that back leg back, keeping my hips square to the floor, taking it as far down as I feel comfortable, coming through into that nice high knee for balance, and come back down. So we're doing individual reps here. We're going to get a little bit more dynamic with that later on in the work set, but for now we're just working on creating some balance, creating some shapes. Again, though, you heard me say we want to try and keep our hips square. It's very common when we do back scales that people tend to rotate. This is an exaggeration, but we tend to rotate that hip up as we come down. It usually ends up looking more like this. Okay, so that hip is opening to the side, and I'm trying to keep my chest square, which turns me into like a kind of a corkscrew. So we really have to focus on pushing that heel and that leg back, maintaining a square hip, square shoulders, all as one piece as we work that back scale. So if you can only take that scale to here, keeping that position, I'd much rather see you do that than push beyond and start rotating and twisting in the body. So you really have to listen to the body on this one. And take your time. This isn't meant to be fast. This is all about working on positions and working on kind of finding that balance and that balancing leg. We have 3 to 5 per side, building that kind of positioning up, and then we're going to move into some squats. So our squats today are going to be goblet squats, but if you'd like to do a round or two without any loading and just do a normal air squat, that's totally fine. My feet are going to be under my hips to shoulders. My dumbbell is going to come up underneath of my chin. So I'm pushing into that dumbbell, keeping my body nice and upright. Now with this squat, we're using this as a chance to stretch that body out after yesterday as well. So we're going to take those hips to the heels. The knees are going to track the toes. And I'm working on staying all the way through that midfoot balance as I keep my chest up nice and tall. And I stand up nice and upright. So again, hips to heel. I get that nice position through that body. I good tall posture, and I stand. So again, if you'd like to use no load for that, that is totally fine. You can use that nice air squat to work on your positions, but we want to make sure that we're working good depth and a good quality movement. Right after that goblet squat, if you want to keep the dumbbell, you can load the calf raises, either a suitcase, goblet, Zercher style, you can work on that. But what we're looking for in that calf raise, toes pointing straight ahead, just under the hips, ribs are in, glutes are in, and just working on pushing into that toe, balanced between the big toe, pinky toe, and a good smooth lower. So we push, lift, smooth lower. Push, lift, smooth lower. So you can choose to hold at the top if you like, or you can keep it a little bit more dynamic as you work through that 20 seconds. It's up to you, but we want to make sure our balance is solid and we're engaging through that midsection to keep ourselves nice and stable. After those calf raises, we're going to work on our narrow goblet squat. So we had our regular squat stance, all right? We're going to bring it in to whatever you feel comfortable with, all right? And again, that can really depend on the day. So all we want to make sure is that our feet are inside of what we normally squat at. So with that narrow stance, we're going to work on the goblet. So it's going to help keep us upright a little bit more. I set my ribs and glutes. I take my hips to the heels, really working on that vertical body position with the dumbbell, and I take it down, and then I stand nice and smooth. So you may find it very challenging, or your range is limited with the dumbbell. That's okay. Listen to your body. Take it to the range that you can maintain with that dumbbell and that goblet. If you have access to some lighter dumbbells, maybe start a little lighter with this one, just so it gives you a chance to kind of execute that deeper squat if you can. Again, if you don't want to use a dumbbell, and you want to just do a narrow squat, please do so. We're just using this to get that body ready for action and work on those ankles, hips, and knees. As a quick recap, we have a wide stance good morning to side lunge, 3 to 5 total. Back scale raise to high knee, 3 to 5 a side. Goblet squat for 3 at a 3-1-3 tempo. Calf raise for 20 seconds, loaded or unloaded. And a narrow goblet squat for 3 at a 3-1-3 tempo. 2 rounds, just using that to feel your body out, get things ready to go. And we're going to move into some slightly more dynamic work in the next little phase. So pause, rock it, come back to me, and talk about our next phase of warm-up. All right, we're going to get some more dynamic work in today. We're going to work on our running form again. And even if we don't run, this is still a nice way to work on building that skill and building some range in the ankles, knees, and the hamstring. So what I'm going to do is turn profile so you guys can see my body position. I'm going to hold my body up upright. I'm going to kind of pretend like I'm holding my arms at a 90 degree. All right, well, not pretend, I am going to hold. But just like I do if I was running. And if you want, you can hold on to an imaginary piece of tissue paper in between your index and your thumb finger. Index and thumb finger. Index and thumb, all right, to keep a little bit of tension, but not too much tension. What we're going to work on is pulling that heel up underneath of the glute. So we're actively pulling with the hamstring, and we're working on that foot coming straight up underneath of the glute in the body, pushing that knee slightly forward. So again, as a contrast, when we do our standing march, the knee comes up and the foot comes out front. What we're looking for in our butt kick, pose style, is foot coming right up underneath, knee slightly forward, making that figure 4 position. You can take this at a walking pace, so working on pulling that heel up under the hamstring. You can take it at a jogging pace. You can even take it at a sprinting pace, whatever you want to do in that 20 seconds to get yourself fired up. Even if you are planning on running this work set, please start off with some butt kick drills, because it's going to start priming up the body and getting that body ready to do the work that's going to be taken down in the workout. And it's going to give you a chance to work on some form and technique work with that run. After the butt kicks, we're going to put that balancing work we did earlier to the test and work on our single leg RDL jump. So we have 3 variations of this. Regardless of the variation, it all starts and flows the same way. It's just the end range is slightly different. So what we're going to do is we're going to balance that leg, get that leg set, The leg that's reaching back is the arm that's going to come forward. And I'm going to load this balancing leg. And variation 1, I come up into that high knee position we worked before, just a little smoother and more dynamic. So variation 2, we load the same way. I'm going to come through with that leg a little faster, and I'm going to come up onto my toe as that lift, and that leg pulls my foot up off the ground. Now, if we're getting more comfortable with that, your balance is bang on, the third variation, you just follow through with the ankle, into that vertical hop. So we load the same, we get that good position, and we come through, hop, and then we come down, loading for round 2. You're not going to go very high with this, and that's okay. The idea that we're trying to get is that loading of the body, the changing of the upper body and the lower body, creating that rotation and that nice solid unilateral work to create power vertical. So that's what we're kind of shooting for. So we want to make sure we're working on those skills to try and further our ability and our coordination with that jump and or just our balance. Okay? So take your time. We got 20 seconds per side. We're not looking for a ton of reps, just some practice. After that, we're going to move into our jump squat. And again, we have 3 variations of our jump squat, very similar to what we just talked about. Variation number 1 is that nice smooth air squat. So we take it down, we stand tall, and you can work on a slightly faster acceleration out of the bottom if you like. Variation number 2, we come down, we work that fast acceleration, you pull down, but that acceleration pulls us off of our feet, so our toes are on the floor still, but those heels come up a bit. Variation number 3, we follow through. We come up and we leave the ground, and then we find that same position, that same stance, as we draw and absorb that impact. So 3 varying degrees of our jump squat. Play with whatever you like, or a combination of whatever you like in that 20 seconds to help that skill build and get more comfortable building that jump and that squat mechanic, because it's always good to maintain and learn how to absorb and maintain that squat stance, especially for our cleans, our snatches, all those other movements. Our last little phase, we're going to pick up the dumbbell and we're going to work on our overhead pressing. So I'm just going to clean the dumbbell up into that front rack position. This is where the dumbbell is going to stay for the first movement. The first movement, I'm focusing on good ribs, good glutes, elbow pushing into the dumbbell slightly to keep it nice and engaged. I'm just going to work on that pause dip. So my knees go slightly out, my feet stay flat, and then I stand. So again, from the side, that pause dip, we go straight down, so my hips stay under my shoulders, my knees go slightly out, and my feet stay flat. We'll do 3 of those with a 3-second pause, and then we'll work on our push press. So we get our nice dip, press overhead, we come back down. We get set, nice dip, come back down. Sound effects are free. Come back down, and back down to the shoulder. So we want to embrace that dip that we practice in that pause position, and then add a little bit more velocity to it without a pause, but we're still hitting those same positions and making sure we're keeping those feet as flat as we can for the majority of the movement. They are going to get pulled off at the very end, but we want to try and keep the feet flat for 95% of that movement set. As a quick recap, we have butt kicks for 20 seconds, single leg RDL jump for 20 seconds a side, jump squat for 20 seconds, then we're going to pick the dumbbell up, pause, dip for 3 at 3 seconds, and a dumbbell pause push press, dumbbell push press for 3 to 5 reps per side or with 2 dumbbells. Just working on warming up that push press for the workout to come. 2 rounds of that, then we can work into a practice round if you'd like, hit some runs up, your run equivalent exercise, and then start piecing away at some of these exercises that we have in the work set. So pause the video, take down that skill work, that more dynamic work. We're going to talk about the movements in our workout and get you guys ready to go. All right, we got some maximum effort here coming to you guys. So we have 3 little work sets, all separated by 90-second rests. So the first one, 5 minutes, you are going to run 600 meters or a run equivalent of that same distance. When you come back from your run, you are going to work on max rep box jump. So we have a couple variations for this, but if you do have an apparatus, I have a box handy right here, you can work on your jump. So we get that good jump, we stand tall, we step back. All right, so we get that good hip hinge, quick hips, knees go slightly out, so we get that nice smooth jump. Stand tall, step down. Or if you have an apparatus and you're like, I'm not a jumper, or I don't feel safe jumping on this apparatus, you can work on your step up for max reps. You can even load this step up if you'd like, working back and forth for max reps for the remaining time frame. You can also use this apparatus and work on a lateral step over, working on keeping that foot up on top of the box to work on knee alignment so that knee stays over the heel, that body stays nice and tall, and we work that lateral movement for max reps, which is also a very nice option. If you are always doing nice forward and back step-ups, this is a nice option to work that lateral movement side to side. A couple other options that we have for you guys too is that vertical power jump. So we worked on our jump drop with rebound yesterday. The vertical power jump is that same thing, except we're gonna work on rebound. So my feet are under my hips. I'm gonna swing my hands back just like a normal box jump, but then I'm gonna go vertical. And I'm not worrying about jumping super high. I'm worrying about absorbing and then going right back into the next jump. So I'm gonna do 3 back to back. I swing, hop, 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 and then I go from there. So I can work on small sets, 3 to 5, or 5 to 10, depending on how comfortable you are with jumping, for the remaining time frame. So my suggestion is keep the sets to a specific number. Don't try and just go right to the end, because we want to make sure we keep those jumps crisp and sharp. So 3 to 5, 5 to 10 reps, quick little shakeout, start again. Those are beautiful. If you don't have a box and you like doing box jumps, this is a fantastic variation because it's going to get that heart rate up, just like if you were doing fast, multiple rep box jumps. So take advantage of that and have some fun with it if you like. Another option we have is the broad jump. So we're going to get that nice same swing we used in that vertical power jump, except we're going to jump horizontally. So we're going to jump forward for distance. They also don't have to be max effort in terms of length. Use whatever distance you have and work on executing that nice showing of power. All right. Our last option we have is our jump squat, which we did in our warm-up. So if you'd like to do that jump squat, you're more than welcome to use that in your work set in place of the jumps. Once that 5 minutes is done, you'll get 90 seconds of rest, and you can be, focus on your recovery, focus on getting your heart rate down a little bit. Then you're going to start your next 5 minutes. You will start with the same distance of running or that same equivalent exercise. When you come back, hopefully around the same time frame, you're going to pick up your dumbbell or dumbbells, and you're going to work on max rep push press. So working on just taking them down in bite-sized chunks. If you're using a single dumbbell, alternate every 3 to 5 reps, just so you get a nice balance between both sides. From there, once the time is done, you will rest 90 seconds, and you'll move into your last work set. For 5 minutes, you'll kickstart off with the run or run equivalent, and then you'll finish off with max burpees. So we've been doing some different variations of the burpee throughout the week. This is the last time you have to see it this week. So we have our full burpee, which we bring our hands down, hop back into our little push, or dynamic push I should say, or you can come down, step, and step up into your burpee, or any hybrid of that. So you can step back, jump in, jump back, step up. It's up to you, whatever suits your needs the most. Just make sure when we're working on our burpee, we're making sure that we're keeping our midsection tight, because that'll help support the shoulder, and that we're focusing on hitting that nice stacked elbow over wrist, and keeping that body, those hands and head in that little triangle, in that little tripod. So we're shooting for that good position, like we do in our humeral glide to knee push-up drill. We also have the squat thrust for you, so we come down, pop our feet out, pop them in, or we can work on our step, or any hybrid of that as well. So you can jump back, step back, jump in. Again, whatever's going to give you the best plank position possible. Focusing primarily on isolating from the waist up, because we want to make sure that once we're locked into this position, shoulder over hand, isolated and strong, so the shoulder stays in that nice orientation over the wrist. So we don't want that shoulder or torso to be moving back and forth as we pop our feet out. You lock the upper body in place, pop out, pop in, pop back up. So you're going to hit max reps of whatever you want to take down of that, and then you're done. Woo! So 3 5-minute work sets. Trying to keep that run equivalent roughly about the same time frame each round if you can. It is going to get a little tough, because as you start building fatigue, it's going to be harder to run or hit that exercise with that same intensity. But try and keep them relatively consistent. Shoot for those movements, have some fun, and of course, as always, work for quality. I hope you guys have tons of fun this weekend. Please enjoy. Have a safe and exciting weekend. And we'll see you on Monday for some more fun programming. Bye, you guys.